Has this ever happened to you? You're planning on going camping, maybe for the weekend, maybe for a month, and you can't figure out what you want to eat. You probably don't want to just say, let's grab a pack of hot dogs and a bag of chips, because that's what we always do. It's the easy fallback. But you're determined this weekend to make something more creative and just more fun. You're going to have fun cooking at camp, and today we're going to talk about our favorite cookbooks to help do that. These cookbooks are all ones that we have used, and if we have done a video with a recipe from these cookbooks, we're going to go ahead and put that above so you can check out the type of recipe you might find in these books. And there's some really good food in these videos. The books are going to be separated into different categories. The first category is old school. The second category is new school / gourmet-ish. The third category is going to be our favorite dehydrator cookbooks, because we often use dehydrated food when we go camping. And the last category is going to be miscellaneous cookbooks. There are a lot of new cookbooks out, a lot of camping cookbooks. And what I've noticed is a lot of those cookbooks tend to be, in my mind, home recipes that they just cook outside. There's nothing that makes them, quote, camping recipes. Quite often, they're from a glamping camp or your camp for the weekend with a big cooler stuffed with food. That's just not the way we camp. If that's the way you camp, they're great books. Don't take that wrong. We think they're good books. They just don't fit us and our style of camping, which is lighter weight. We don't have a refrigerator. The biggest cooler we take is normally about 26 quarts, so small cooler. We use a lot of dehydrated stuff that we make at home, and we try to keep it as simple as we can while still eating well. So, with that said, let's have a look at our cookbooks. So our first category of cookbooks tend to be a little bit older, and they tend to emphasize recipes that are the types of recipes that I would have eaten when I was a Boy Scout in the 1970s. There are a lot of casseroles, a lot of Dutch oven cooking, a lot of beans, breads, that type of things. Heck, you'll probably find a can of condensed soup in these recipes, and you might find dehydrated herbs and spices. So if that's not your thing, you might want to skip ahead. But for those of us that enjoy that type of cooking, enjoy those recipes, and find that these shelf-stable ingredients make it easier to travel, especially if you're going long distances or long times, easier to pack dehydrated food than it is to try to keep fresh food fresh. So, the first cookbook on our list, Camp Cooking 100 Years by the National Museum of the Forest Service. This book is chock-a-block full of recipes that are hearty, tasty, and just make for good eating. Now, one thing that I will mention is these books were written quite a while ago, and they may say, use a can of X ingredient. They don't tell you how big the can is, so you kind of have to do a little experimenting or guesswork. But these recipes are good. Our second book is What's Cooking in the National Parks. Now this book is actually a collection of recipes that were written by Park Service employees. And like the previous book, it is chock-a-block full of casseroles, vegetables, large stews, that kind of thing. And we have found many good recipes in here. In fact, check out this green chili enchilada recipe above. It was exceptionally good. One thing I will point out with these older books is if you are a fan of cookbooks with lots and lots of pictures, these are not the books for you. They tend to just have recipe lists, but the recipes that they do list are darn tasty. Now the last book on our classic collection is called Cooking the Dutch Oven Way by Woody Woodruff. And Woody Woodruff, if you don't know, invented the aluminum Dutch oven called the Woody Dutch oven that was designed for canoe camping, to be a lighter weight option for scouting, to be able to carry a Dutch oven when they were out in remote areas. This book, like the other two, has easy recipes, very few pictures, but there are some darn good recipes in here, and they are designed to be cooked in a Dutch oven. And one thing I do like about this book is, unlike a lot of sort of pure Dutch oven cookbooks, the ingredient list on this one is pretty low per recipe, so you don't have to carry a lot of ingredients with you when you use this at camp. So, Cooking the Dutch Oven Way is the last of our classic campfire cookbooks. Moving on to our more modern cookbooks, I have two in this category. The first one is called Hey, I'd Eat This at Home by Michael Gray. Now this book stands out in my mind for a couple reasons. One is the recipes tend to be quite tasty, but not overly heavy in ingredients. He also takes time to break down types of ingredients that you can take with you in a remote trip that don't break down. So they're sort of shelf-stable, fresh food, talks about camping gear, cooking gear. And what I really like about the recipes in this book is that he takes the time to break down those things that can be done at home before you leave and the things that must be done at camp. And he lists ingredients, whether you're cooking for 2, 4, 6, or 12 people. So you don't have to try to do the math. It's all right here in the book for you. And the second book in our modern or newer cookbooks is actually not a new cookbook at all. As I said earlier, a lot of the new cookbooks that are coming out seem to be home recipes that they just say you can cook outside. This book, Remington Camp Cooking by Chef Charlie Palmer, is what I would consider the OG of the modern style cookbooks. This is a cookbook that has a lot of, I would call, more complex recipes in it that are still designed for the outdoorsman. And what I mean by that is the recipes tend to have more ingredients, but still tend to lean towards the shelf-stable ingredients. And there are more recipes that I would say would appeal to outdoorsmen who are harvesting their own food. For example, they have recipes for trout in foil with lemon sage butter, pheasant and chestnut pot pie, and the recipe that I'm going to link above, which is poached eggs in chickpea and sausage stew. So if you want to try to take a walk on the gourmet side of camp cooking, check out the Remington Camp Cooking book. The third category that we're going to talk about is dehydrator cookbooks. Now I know there's a ton of different dehydrator cookbooks, but the two that we're going to talk about today, I think, make for great camping food. The first cookbook is the Dehydrator Cookbook for Outdoor Adventure. And we have used the recipes in this book extensively. The lemony lentil salad, the porter braised beef stew, the orzo salad. There's just great recipes in here. You can do a tuna salad wrap. I mean, this cookbook has served us very well. And what I like about this book is that the recipes are not a list of different ingredients that you dehydrate and then put back together. These are entire meals that are dehydrated together and rehydrated together. So one pouch, the meal's ready to go, and you just have to rehydrate it. Instead of using a bunch of different pouches and following a recipe, everything is ready to go. So this book, an exceptional book if you want to dip your toes into dehydrating for camping. And the second book in our dehydrator category, if you will, is one that we just picked up, but we've already fallen in love with it. Now, this is written by Michael Holtquist. It's called the Spicy Dehydrator Cookbook. And if you ever watch on YouTube the channel Chili Pepper Madness, that's Michael. So the recipes in here tend to lean towards the spicy end of the spectrum, but we love that. And what we love about this book is it has recipes for different types of barks. So in other words, you make salsa, you dehydrate it, it turns into like a fruit leather. You just rehydrate it at camp and you've got a great bowl of salsa. One of the favorite recipes out of the book is the arrabbiata for pasta. And let me tell you, it does have some kick. And if you want a pasta sauce that's a little less spicy, they do have puttanesca. So again, sauces, salsas. This book has some great recipes for making leathers and things that I think are going to be really good for our camping trips. So again, the Spicy Dehydrator Cookbook. Now we'll move on to our miscellaneous category. And the first book or books in this category are these small little books put out by Monty Bocco, and that is YouTuber Chef Corso. And what he focuses on are very easy at-camp meals using simple ingredients, very little refrigeration required, if any. And he has some very creative things. For example, one thing we never thought of that was a no-brainer when you think about it is, at More Expo a couple years ago, Chef Corso did a presentation, and he used beef jerky rehydrated in a recipe. Now, why that doesn't just pop into your head that anything dehydrated can be rehydrated, I don't know. But thanks to Chef Corso, we now know that that's easy. So check out these little books. This one is Plant-Based Trail Meals. This is Trail Meals, the Wander Edition. He has a few more. So again, Chef Corso on YouTube and Monty Bocco. I'm going to put a link below. These are nice little books that have some good recipes. I'm also going to put above one of the recipes out of these books that we made at camp, and it was delicious. And sadly, all good things must come to an end. So we are at the end of our list of our favorite cookbooks for camping. The last book is the free book that comes with Lodge Dutch ovens when you buy them, Dutch Oven Cooking 101. These books are simple, but they talk about how to use a Dutch oven, some of the items and tools that you would need to cook in a Dutch oven. Most importantly, it has a table of the amount of coals that you need to reach approximately certain temperatures on a Dutch oven. And then it includes recipes for different sized Dutch ovens. So these books, again, come free with the Lodge Dutch Oven, but they're a great resource if you're learning to use a Dutch oven or if you're just looking for a quick recipe at camp. So, Camp Dutch Oven Cooking 101 from Lodge. In fact, I've got more than one copy of this at home. So if you would like a copy of this Dutch Oven Cooking 101, comment below and say, give me the book. And I will pick one of the commenters on December 15th, notify you that you have won. You can contact me with your address and I'll send you this book. So I hope you've made it this far in the video and get a chance at the book. And if you have, don't forget to comment below. So I hope you found a book in here that appeals to you that you might want to check out. And if you did, and if you like this type of content, please take a moment to hit that sub button in the lower right hand corner. Share this with your like-minded friends and give us a thumbs up. And also check out the videos on the recipes that we made from these books because I think you'll find some gems. And as always, take care and we'll see you outdoors.